Okay.
All right, so just thank everybody for coming and thank everybody for a job well done. And just so everybody knows that it is recognized away from here and not just here when we were at Pipestem. We were recognized along with Princeton by Dr. Mills as being a leading agency, somehow like that, he stated it. So it is recognized out of just what we're doing here. Dr. Behrens the other day when I picked up QA said everybody was doing a good job and good documentation. And that just relates back to, remember that overall our core values that are in the mission statement and the statement that's up here and in there, just that it's still committed service with integrity amongst ourselves and the respect for our patients and each other, so that we maintain that for ourselves. Personal accountability as far as what we're doing in the agency, keeping a teamwork in mind, and fair treatment amongst ourselves as well as the citizens and everybody else that we're dealing with. But just remember, our mission goes back to provide outstanding emergency services, emergency medical services, and community services to the residents and visitors of Morgan County. We can do that in a professional manner to maintain the dignity of those we serve. And we as a staff is continuously strive to improve and grow, enhancing the delivery of EMS to our citizens. Let's get rid of that. So overall, just as we're going forward and everything that we're doing, just make sure we're using good judgment and common sense. I mean, a lot of times that'll take care of a lot of things that we're dealing with. Just good judgment, common sense, and follow protocols. That's the other one. So as we're doing all those, just wrap it all together. Keep doing what we're doing. We're doing good. Just continue to do it for us. Some of the other things that moving along. One of the things that was a recommendation when we were, one of the things for the RFP was we needed to look uniform. So we're going to move away from t-shirts and go to golf shirts. So the only t-shirts that we're going to buy anymore will be those on the PT. So they just at least have a collared shirt so that when we're out in the public, that we're still looking professional and presentable. And we'll work on pants and boots in time, but right now we need to do so much at a time. Overall, the other one, just real quick on the radio, which most people are familiar with, but remember, as far as on the portables, pretty much everything we need, you can stay on the flipper on top, on A, B, and C. Okay. Remember, A and C is all of the Morgan County channels, and everything in A, then that picks up all of your fireground things that they might be using, as well as law enforcement is on the first bank in A. If you go all the way, just flip it around to C, the first like 10 channels or 8 channels are exactly the same as they are in A, except it brings in the Medcom channels for the rest of it. And your Hilo channels are on bank 1. I think they're in bank 1, so just as a reminder. Anytime we're going to Washington County, remember if you just flip the flipper to B, all of your interop channels are there that they're going to tie the incident into. So those are there. C, if you just use the C button and go down, the first one you come to will be Hampshire, since I didn't have it on in time. It goes, like the first one's Hampshire, the next one's Berkeley, and the next one is Frederick. So if you're doing mutual aid, any of those others, C takes you right down. Within 3 clicks will take you right down to it. So that was the important button. Otherwise, if you keep scrolling through all of the regional channels, if you scroll up, which is B, just go up like 3 clicks, I think it is, you'll see all the regional channels are on there. And we're in region 2 here. So if for some reason there would be a large incident in Berkeley or Jefferson, and they're bringing more assets in, or we're going down there, potentially, they should flip everything over to that regional channel. Just like if we had a large incident here, theoretically, it should switch over. And because those other jurisdictions do not have the Morgan County channels in their radio, just like we don't have Jefferson in ours if we had to go over there. I think we do have Berkeley and Hampshire already in them, so we can actually talk to the PSAPR, to the Fireground channels with those. Remember your blue button on the side puts it in and takes it out of scan. And so if you are listening to law enforcement, and on bank one, and you don't want to, just push a blue button and it takes it out of scan.
We just discovered the EA button on some radios does not work. We're working through getting them reprogrammed to get some uniform standard set, but just know that if you use your EA button, one radio you have to hold your EA button and then hit your transmit button to get it to do anything. So if you want to try it someday, you're working, call the dispatch center and tell them you want to try it so you can see what that radio does. But if you're in a situation, I would not rely on that button until they're reprogrammed. And I'll put an email out that, hey, they work.
But that's one that we're working.
Also, we just go over how to get it to search towers.
Go ahead. Here. Come over here so they can see you.
Well, I'm gonna have to figure it out myself. So, this one too.
You had to hold, that was mine, that's the old, one of the old ones. It was one of the bottom buttons there, you had to hold.
So it's the second button from the bottom, the little one. If you hit it once, it tells you what tower you're on and it tells you your signal strength. If you touch it and hold it, it'll search. I only tell you that because, again, the radios aren't programmed the way they need to be. So if you happen to be over in Great Capen and you need to hit that first lane tower and it's not hitting it for you, hold down that button and see if you can force it to search and hit the first lane tower.
All the controls that are on the portable, there's a comparable one on the mobile radio, the same. Any other questions on radios? You know, the towers, the first lane tower is up, which is over off of Detour Road, up on Gamble, Valley High. So we should have pretty good coverage now. Also in 7.6, there is a cell phone booster that we put in it. We went to pick it up the other day, or the unit. So it is here with that booster. So we'll see how it works, and then we'll evaluate if we need to put one in 7.1 also. Anything else for radio? We do need to continue to keep the VHF radios in the units, because if you find that your UHF won't work, you can revert back to it. They still do work. They're still hot into the PSAP. As far as your ID tags, we're trying to catch everybody when they come through to get your picture and get them made. I think most people have already got them, but we do need to have those out and visible so that you're wearing them when you're out on call. They're required in 6448. It is a required item that some kind of form of identification card be displayed with your cert level on it. So that's what we got right now. And if you lose the clips or the case breaks, Renee's got more of them in the office. And Mike was putting out did you get the ID out?
It's out.
Okay, so it is out already. Just an overview of the RFP process and where we are in the county. Renee and I was at the EMS board meeting a while ago. Has to have been the shortest one. It was like an hour, a little bit less than an hour. But right now they're up in, they really don't know what's going on, what the status is, because the commissioners are voting hopefully on the 7th, but we found out tonight it may not be till the 22nd, but hopefully on the 7th they're going to vote to or not to raise the fee from 75 to 150 per living unit. So if that takes place, we're working options of, we still have to look at additional units. Lucas, heart monitor, potential for property, a station to be built if it goes to Largent. We're talking with Paw Paw to potentially use their station temporarily until something can be done. So everything right now is just up in the air until the 7th where they vote, so we know how much money we're gonna see. Potentially, we're looking at doubling the staffing, doubling the stations, which equates to doubling the fee, so. Right now, that's, anything else from the RFP? If you're out and somebody's giving you grief, just refer them to the website. Renee put a whole page on the website that just describes where the fee was, where it's at, and where it's going. So just refer people to that. Don't get confrontational with them. You can try to give them information. If they don't want to listen to you, they might just want to be confrontational. Have them call one of us. Just have them call the station, leave a message, and we'll call them back that way. Don't give our cell phones out for it, please. And in doing that, if we're looking again, Friday, the 15th, to do a hiring process again. So, that we are in the process to try to hire more people. We still need more for here, much less adding more providers on to do a Western station. So, some of the things that we need to hear from you all is what do you like about working here? We need to be able to market those kind of things, out to people when we're trying to recruit. Anybody got ideas? Just anything? So I've got Renee and pets. But really, if you've got something, and on the flip side, what don't you like about working here? What can we do to improve? Okay. We're open.
You have better benefits than some places, and better management than some places.
I think the ability to come in here, do your job, get your stuff ready to go, make your nursery ambulances ready, and then the ability to just kind of downtime to study and do whatever you gotta do on other things that may come around, makes it a little bit more of a part of the job versus,
Where you don't have downtime to study, if you want to,
on the same page there as far as what we're all with that.
yeah.
I believe
But-
that outweighs some of the differences in pay.
Right.
You get the
Right.
ability to make sure your stuff's done and then study nursing or study emotional stuff or whatever the case may be. But you have those options, but you don't have other places to work. And most of us are familiar with that, so.
Okay. But those are things that we need to hear. And if you come up with something else, let us know, because those are the kind of things that we need to try to be able to market when we're looking for people. And, to tell them these are benefits, so, or what we've heard that people like or don't like, let us know. Does anybody have any ideas how we can attract other people? Competent people?
I think the hardest part's gonna be, I know people that are looking for part-time work, but stick them in the back of an ambulance for 45 minutes by themselves in the middle of the night. It's a tough sell for a lot of
Scares them.
Newer people is
even
here.
senior providers sometimes don't wanna be in an ambulance for that long by themselves when it's a patient.
Right.
Yeah, and that you can't fix that.
No, that's just their nature at that point.
But do you
Yeah.
think it'll help when we have maybe potentially multiple crews on where they might have to?
No, because you're still
No,
stuck in
I
that by
think-
yourself. That's
yeah.
not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't think, because you're not running extra manpower on priority calls. Typically, you're getting fire department services and you may or may not be worth anything at that point anyway, other than somebody, hey, good drive. But that's about the extent of it. Where they're used to having a cushion, a duty officer or a extra people or something like that.
Well, and one of the things, that we've also, when Renee and I was over and talked to the president and at Paw Paw, was if they would still be interested in doing a rapid responder like Capen. And that hopefully will cut down on some of that length of time in the back, by yourself. On some things, you know, it
Your
might not.
transfer time here is, I mean, unless you're relatively within within a 10, 15 mile range,
Mhm. You're gonna be a half hour, 40 minutes.
and that turns a lot of people, I think, I believe that's. And we're not gonna get any easier because there's not any qualified providers out there really looking for work. It's tough to pull. We're looking at it at work, they're looking at it at work down the road where they're not coming out of school. You're out of luck.
Yeah.
I mean, you're generally just training them right out of college and here it is.
Mhm. And that's a scary part, I know for us, for me, because to put somebody inexperienced in the back of an ambulance and send them out to Valley High Timber Farms for a 48-minute ride back.
Well, we have the
By
budget-
themselves.
And we have the budget to train and
Yeah.
preset where.
For an extended period of time, or we get the students that we have trained so we know their abilities
No.
already.
Yeah.
Prior to actually hiring them.
Yeah.
Just for, you're probably gonna see dwindling numbers just like
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
else in the area.
And we are, it's just what, you know, again, what, we have to look at what we can do to try to attract people or to get them to want to come, you know, apply and want to come work. Let's see if this- So of course, as I do all the numbers and drive you crazy with numbers, every one of your run sheets that you do, that we QA here, then when they get sent on to the state in premise, it all gets added up and shows up. They send out a monthly report that we get and look at every month. I actually had them do a yearly report last year, which is what this one is. And they are going to now initiate doing a yearly report for all the agencies, but they had to go back to North Carolina to premise to get them to write the program because Bob doesn't have the ability just to go in and initiate a report. So everything you do does come through, and it is looked at. So, and really the first part, and you see these, they're up on, I put them on the board out here to look at. But this basically just says how many calls that have been submitted in the time period initially. It breaks them down as far as the level of care, ALS 1 calls and ALS 2 calls. BLS, you see somebody click the BLS here, but it should have been a BLS emergency. So again, just paying attention to the detail. But we also can see that, you know, we're looking at around 45, 46, 47% of our calls are ALS and around 53% are BLS. So that all comes from the boxes that you check on your report and then how Renee can make them and bill them. But then all the others, that was very close to our number that we ran last year. That's within a couple. So most everything we track. The other one that we need to be able to follow is mutual aid calls. We only ran 2 last year, according to the state. But in actuality, we ran 48 to Washington County and 108 to Paw Paw. So we just need to check that so that we can, you know, because when it comes time that the state's evaluating us and looking at us, we're not, you know, they're looking at us, we'd be like Kanawha County, not running out of our jurisdiction much, or other locations. So just try to make sure that we check that and change that so that we can track the numbers. Barb does enter all of the reports that are faxed down. So if we can get a good number here, that would save her having to enter that step in potentially in the future. Because she goes back and enters a lot of this back in on the computer that we can draw data from. The runs by disposition, you know, we can tell that we transported 60%, 61%, and that's about a good average for the number of patients. For calls, we transport about 60% of our patients. And you can see as you go down through how many that were canceled on, refused, no treatments, dead, transferred care. So those all we do, we look at to see how those numbers go. Also, by the day of the week, and again, when we went back and decided what night we were gonna add in addition to Friday night to cover, Monday, you can see was, we're already covering Friday night, so Monday was right in there with the next batch of busiest calls. And when one way you run a report, and another way you run a report, it wasn't the busiest following Friday. But overall at night, that's how they broke down last year. And it breaks it down for the times of the day. So, with that second unit covering part of this one up through part of this one, you can tell we're covering the bulk of the time with that 12-hour unit. But really, the bulk of it would be covering it from 8 to 8. That's tough to get people to want to come to work at 8, to stay till 8. So, by the numbers, that really would be the best time for our second crew if we continue with the 12 hours. But that's not optimal. The other ones with the time, and this is an ALS unit or aircraft, depending on your agency. So this follows the times. So we can tell that 740 calls, we average 1.92 minutes getting out the door for ALS calls. The same then BLS calls, they were 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So Jenna's face looks like mine did. Why is there so much difference?
You got time to go pee if it's a BLS.
The only thing that Renee came up with was the ones that we fail, or the others get rolled down into this, so it might be bumping that time up. So that's the only good reason we can come up with, other than just what Alan said.
Oh, yeah, 66 was there, I'm going to fish first.
So the state plan is 2 minutes is what the average, or what they would like to see us out in. And you can see our average response time was, for ALS calls, was just under 12 minutes, and just 10 minutes for BLS.
That's where it makes up the time.
So they sort of do even out when you look at them that way. And then the next one up, the other one is try to, when if you're going into the house, use your radio and mark patient contact. It does two things. It gives us a good time then for you to put in the report for when you actually had patient contact. And the other one is it gives you confirmation that your radio is working inside the structure that you're in. Okay. So try to do that so you have a good time when you actually do have patient contact. I know typically we just guess, it must have took us about 2 minutes to walk in. And it's surprising when you actually do it to see how long it does or doesn't take you than what you might expect that it did. At scene to patient, so, no. These are, this is just your, typically, we're saying that it's taken normally 18 to 20 minutes to get to the hospital with our patients. So those are just ones that when they go up, those are the kind of things that we're looking at to keep track of. These are what the state has set as the benchmarks. It's on the same report. So for ALS, they're saying we should be out the door in 2 minutes. 717 of our calls we made that on, and 109 we did not make it out within 2 minutes. So that worked out to 13% of our calls were over 2 minutes. Now, how many of those might have been the couple of us coming from home, coming in, that it was 12 minutes getting out? To bump the number up, we didn't go back and look. But that's one thing that we can say potentially would bump some of those up for us.
Or 1 minute and 2 second response time.
Yes, that does too. Versus using seconds in the reports. The other one is from the time the unit's back in service till the PCR is done. They say by code, we have 72 hours to do that in. And 875 of them, we made it, and 79 we didn't. So the biggest thing is we need to make sure, when you come back to the station and it's daytime, there's no reason not to get the reports done then. Don't let them hang out there till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning or the next day. Do them when you get back, because then if they're done and they forward on for QA, for Renee, and then they can get pushed out quicker. But we have to improve that time, which we've done excellent on that recently, because that was out to, I think, days. So, it's getting better, but when you come back, you're here, do the report. Get it done and knocked out. You can see there we had 189 refusals and no mass casualty incidents. That's good. Each one of the QA, anytime that you're flagged by MedCom for a QA or one of the performance improvement issues that they come up with, it also shows up on the monthly report each month. So along with those, I know Mike and I both get emails that come from through the state process. So therefore, each one of those are addressed in the QA process with Dr. Behrens, and then to make sure that he agrees with it, or says we need to remediate, or we need to, or okay, they know what they did, they shouldn't have done it, or this is why it was done. And again, when I was down and picked up QA the other day, the couple he had, and right out of his mouth, the only thing, what saved their ass is their good documentation. Because all three of them that I picked up, it was excellent documentation that went back and justified why what was done. So that's why, again, all of that dumps right into, all of your reports dump right into Premise, so we get the reports out and look at those.
Kevin, back to that field you have with the mutual aid,
Uh-huh.
is that a field in Church that we're supposed to be going in and changing if we provide mutual aid?
You said it was in,
Yes, it's in page 1, top left towards the left-hand side, I think, and I think I have it preset is everything is a 911 emergency response. So I think you can go in and change that to mutual aid there in that drop box.
So that's okay, because I've never done that.
Yeah, and that's
Well-
why I didn't even realize it was an
Yeah.
option until he had seen a couple that changed it and clicked it, so he's like, okay, that's a good idea to change
Yeah.
those, so.
Alright.
Yeah, but it was just preset as 911 because, that's basically what we do, so.
I remember
Yeah.
that.
so the other thing, if you, let's see, so we could, procedures, again, make sure that all your procedures are marked, because we actually can run a report to show, how many intubations you did, successful, unsuccessful. So make sure all of those are run, are checked also, not just in the narrative. But then when we go back trying to justify, like I was able to go back and tell that last year we gave Narcan 60 times, since that's the hot item people want to know right now. So things like that, that all the data, while it's a pain in the rear putting it in, it does come back to be used. The other one that I wanted to hit with that in charts is special reports. If anything happens, again, most people are using, if there's vehicle damage, if you have a communications problem, there's like 10 different things on there with special reports. So if you do one of those, that goes straight to Mike and Renee and I. And if you have a problem with MedCom, all we were doing was, I was just taking everybody's names off, copying the narrative that you typed on it, and that gets forwarded straight to Dr. Behrens, Best, and Mills. All three of them get it back, since they've had trouble, or everybody seems to be having trouble with MedCom. So they've been forwarding them on. So So your special reports do get used also. We forward those on, or it lets us know we need to look at something. But make sure when you're in there, look and see at all the different options that's there to be able to fill out in special reports. If you have a problem with directions or ECC, there's actually a pick box in there to fill out for that. The special reports are not tied to the patient report. Only in like the incident number and the times. Otherwise, it's like two separate reports, but you can generate it from your patient care report. Anything else in charts, or?
Just make sure your reports are signed and uploaded. Lots of times they're signed, but they won't upload for some error. Just make sure they'll go. And if you do the report and you're waiting for your partner to sign it, you can still try to upload it and it'll catch any errors. It won't go because of the second signature, but you'll know that it's ready to go once your partner signs it.
The other one with, dealing with Morgan, with ECC, Mike and I was at the 911 meeting last week, and we brought up about some of them using their flirty voices or their stupid voices on the radio. Just be professional, don't use them. If they do it, just be normal. They're supposed to be watching their people and encouraging them not to do it also. And again, any issues with ECC, just do the special report, because typically you're going to be on an incident. Do the special report and it sends it to us, and that gives us the documentation to go back on them, so we actually have something.
And if you do have problems with them, if you do the special report and can tell me about what time the issue was, I go to Broadcastify and I save the audio files, so we know that that can't be edited. So if there's an issue, we know that we have the audio log of it. It's just easier if you can narrow it down to the time, so I can not listen to 3 hours of audio.
Yeah, and we've been, we've had problems where it's been on our end too. The one unit was told to stage and acknowledged, but neither one of them swore they heard it till we played it back, and you could hear it, but it was just something brief and simple. So it helps us, and it lets us know that we're on the right track also. My last thing, my theory on the helicopter usage, in case anybody doesn't know, I'm going to profess it. And that's why I brought the board this one over, because I have driven and did the time studies for the RFP, so it's here. And it's over in the office if you want to look at it too. But typically with the helicopter, there's not many places in Morgan County they're going to get a patient to the hospital quicker than you can by ground, unless it's something that is a specialty need. Be a big boy girl provider, put your big boy girl panties on, take care of the patient, and get them to the hospital. Because all of them that's been flown recently, we could have got them there quicker by ground.
Okay, I have a question.
Hands down, no problem.
I have a question on that. That paper hanging in the office states that Winchester Medical Center won't take this, or this. Okay? If you look at that, and then you're out there on the field, and you think, well, my patient has this, that paper says Winchester won't take it. So you fly, and then the helicopter comes in, and they decide, no, I'm not gonna fly them to Fairfax, I'm gonna fly them to Winchester.
Right.
I think that paper probably is outdated and needs to come down.
Yeah.
In her defense, I looked at an updated one that we have, and degloving is one that Winchester is supposedly not supposed to take.
But there's some of
That's
them.
because I looked at it the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a question.
Right, no.
Anyway,
no,
I just looked for degloving on that one, sorry.
Well, if they're going to the hand center, they have to be seen at a hospital before they can go to the hand center. If you're going to Baltimore.
Yeah.
Yes, they have to be cleared by the officer.
That's what I thought too,
Yes,
but then
sir.
I was also told that the helicopter will go directly to a hand center, and I said, I didn't think so. So, For the
The one in
helicopter,
Baltimore takes extremity trauma, isolated extremity trauma. If there's any other trauma with it, they won't
okay,
take
so
it.
that's the difference.
Yeah.
That needed to be
Just
specified.
like the eye
to me.
center, you
Okay.
can't go straight to Wilmer's. You have to be seen at a hospital
Okay.
and then go there.
That's not that.
Minor technicality.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and typically, you know, and I've got 3 calls here that I've just started, as people have called, I'm usually the one that's writing down times. As far as like when they were called, where they were going and all of that. And then even visit them at the hospital when they got there. But typically, HealthNet, they have a tendency when you call and request the ETA, how long it's gonna be there, they like to give you the ETE, their estimated time en route, not their total time. And it takes them somewhere around 10 minutes to turn up.
It takes them 10 minutes, the average for them to according to Autumn, it takes them an average of 10 minutes to pre-flight the helicopter
Yeah.
in the air. They have good days and bad days, but they have to be in the air by 11 minutes, that's their standard. So you do the math on that.
Yeah. So I give them 10 minutes. If they're over your head, there's still 5 minutes till they get on the ground, and at least that till they can get into your unit to start taking care of your patient, or the patient. The standard, I think, is 15 minutes on the ground, or 12 or 15. If they're gonna RSI them, it's like 17. And I don't think this one down here meets that. I haven't seen them meet 17 minutes
Depends on who-
yet. So, so I'll give them 17 minutes. Typically, you're gonna have a 20-minute travel time for them to fly from here to Winchester, for most places in the county, or to where, you know, even at the Winchester, use that one. From the time they're on final there, they're 5 minutes to get down to get through the ED doors, as I said, timed them one day. So that rounds it out to about a 50 to 60-minute time for them to get a patient to the hospital. So if you've got them in the ambulance, there is no way they can beat you getting the patient to the hospital. And in doing that, the time study from the center of, basically from Berkeley Springs to Berkeley Medical Center, you're looking at 32 minutes. To, well, they're up here. Washington County, you're at 34 minutes. Or no, Winchester Medical Center is 34 minutes. Western Maryland was 38 minutes, and Meritus is 40 minutes. And the helicopter was 50 to 60 minutes. So, pretty much anywhere you are, you can get them to one of those 4 hospitals quicker. Just know that if you're in Paw Paw, their times are, you could just about set your clock by them. It takes them 30 minutes to get to Warp, Winchester, and Cumberland. They're setting like right dead in the center of a 30-minute time. So just know that, use good judgment again. You know, if you need to fly them and you feel like you can't handle or you need more help, by all means, use them. But just know that statistically, I haven't seen really any yet where they're going to beat them to the hospital, or they can beat us to the hospital. Anybody have any other ideas, thoughts?
I think we've all tried to think outside the box and think, you know, this is an isolated pediatric femur. Where should I take it? And I played that game, and you know, I spent probably too much time on the scene deciding if I needed a helicopter or calling the various hospitals because Medcom couldn't answer my questions. And sometimes I think it's best just to go somewhere. You know, if you need to call a hospital to see if they can take it, that's okay, but sometimes we sit on the scene trying to decide if we're going to use aviation because, well, maybe this pelvis is unstable, or, well, maybe they have bilateral femur fractures and Winchester doesn't want it. You know, maybe I should do this, and then several times recently, we've used a helicopter, and a helicopter flies into Winchester because they say they can't get over the mountain because of weather. Well, we could have been in Winchester by the time the helicopter shuts down. If you're using the criteria of, well, I didn't think Winchester could handle it. So, it's okay to think outside the box, but sometimes I think you just need to make an initial decision and go with it.
And most times, when you call Medcom, if you tell them I can be to Winchester in 30 minutes, you know, or I can be to Meritus in 35, they're not they're gonna, and you know, I can get them there quicker than the helicopter can. I haven't had them tell me, no.
I think we do a really good job here compared to other agencies across the area that fly a ton. I mean, I even had Autumn, who basically runs the show down there, say, why don't you fly more? I said, well, our guys are better than yours. Plain and simple, you do the math on it, I mean,
I've sat staring at the airport waiting for it
Yeah.
and been like, this is stupid.
Yeah.
I could already be in Winchester.
Yeah,
honestly,
and
it's.
I think, yeah, we,
With people that work here, the isolated instance we got, bad issue, whatever
Right.
it may be, by and large, people that work here, there's no qualm about, let's hightail one direction or the other and be done
Right.
with it.
and most there's not, but just,
If you talk to the flight staff, you get different answers to what each hospital can take. And like I was, you know, like I was told, oh, well, we can take them directly to the center, but they failed to mention, oh, there's other injuries, you need to take them, you know. Or if they sit there and bicker in the back of the ambulance, well, yeah, they should go to Inova, but I don't feel like it, so let's just go to Winchester.
That just happened recently.
That's the problem.
And
And all of you agree, including your medic in the back of your ambulance that flies for them, agrees they need to go to Inova, but one of them doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
I don't know what the weather going over the mountain is like, but several times our ground crews called them because they didn't think Winchester could handle them. And they say they can't get over the mountain because of the weather and they go to Winchester. I don't know what the issue
They
is,
do that to us.
but
so,
At
it-
one
Winchester,
hour.
Winchester can fly them out the same as we can. If they can't handle them, then they'll ship them.
and at least you're getting them to a higher level of care. They're getting them stabilized, and it may not be, it may be that pediatric femur fracture. Well, the doctor can still take care of them and get them stabilized, and they can get the appropriate resources to move them on to the appropriate facility. So, I mean, the biggest thing is we just need to get them to the hospital and take care of our patients, and that doesn't even look at the cost factor to it. So, do you have anything else?
We received a couple complaints on units going in service, running calls and paw when they hear either 32 or Hampshire County markup. Just have a conversation with them, whether they want you to go in service. They may want ALS because chances are, well, we know paw is not gonna have it. Chances are Slanesville doesn't either. So have a conversation about whether the patient's gonna need ALS and see who's closer. Just because Hampshire County gets out or Paw gets out, if you've been on the road for 20 minutes, it doesn't mean that they're closer. So don't automatically put yourselves in service. A new policy came out on vehicle details. Basically, we're just looking for a more thorough cleaning of the, basically the third due unit on the 15th of the month to include waxing it, vacuuming it out inside, a good decon. Everything should come out of cabinets on your monthly check, but wiping down the cabinets, mopping the floor, putting Rain-X on the windows. Once we get the second unit in service, there'll be more of a rotation of the units. And I think we just need to maybe do a little better job of taking care of what we have. Doing the third due unit, you're not rushed. If you get a call, you hopefully don't have to take it. So that policy came out recently. The ID badge policy's out, just follows the state code. Personal vehicles shouldn't be left in the station at night if one of our units is out. I know a couple times there's a vehicle in the bays and one of our units is sitting outside. I can't think of any reason why that is okay or that should ever happen, so that should not be happening. We're pretty lax with our animal policy here, and I'm a dog lover the same as everybody else. We seem to have had an instance of a dog, or maybe cat, ferret, bunny, I don't know what it was, having an accident in the bunk room that wasn't cleaned up. If that continues to happen, we're gonna have to become less lenient on our pet policy. So if you bring animals, I encourage it. Just make sure you're cleaning up. I know most people are, but if you do, just make sure you're taking care of them.
It's amazing just watching when they are here. watch people and watch how more relaxed people are through the day when they're here. I mean, it's amazing to actually see it, so. All right. Nothing else, we'll turn it over to Chris.
Yay. Take 5.
That's like surgery right there.
Good, get a break.
Take 5. Get a break.
The only other thing I did think about is 7-1 appears to have sustained